What's going on, everybody? MWA Reacts is back again for another episode of Monarch Season 2, Episode 2, Resonance Episode Analysis. We are your hosts, Monsters with Attitude, and with you this week, it is the Bearded Kaiju, it is the Realist Goji Fan, and it is Godzilla Train 1090 Adrian. So, yeah, we are here to discuss Episode 2 of Monarch, the hit Apple TV show that has our beloved Titans, aka Kaiju, in a lot of fun with some human characters. So we're going to discuss that this week. Episode 2 was dropped officially today, but they've been officially dropping it early, actually. I think it's about 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Pacific Time. So I love that. I love that it's a little bit early, but yeah, let's get right into the deep dive and discussion on this week's episode because it's starting to amp up a little bit. But I will admit it was a little bit slower this week than it was previously. The previous one really kind of hit a lot of excitement and a lot of levels that we can expect, I think, from this season. So it kind of came back down just a little bit, but still pretty interesting nonetheless, and just kind of building, I think, on these stories and backgrounds that really makes this overall show very interesting. So with that, let's get right into the discussion. And first off, we're going to be talking about some things that the setting wise for this first two episodes have been very focused on. And it is about that village, that island that Kiko and Shaw and Bill kind of went to, especially with our earlier, younger characters, that we have this base backstory of possibly Titan X and maybe the Scarabs. But I want to get your guys' thoughts real quick and right away. What are your thoughts with how much time is being spent on this island or village or this, I guess, civilization, if you want to call them, a group of people that kind of worship Titan X / the Scarabs? Do you like this setting? Do you like that they're focusing on this area and these people a lot? Do you think there is a big payoff that's coming with them focusing on it so far? So what are your thoughts? Jordan, I'll go with you first.
Yeah, sure, no problem, Eric. Honestly, when we were originally given the news that Monarch was going to be having its own series on Apple TV, I always thought of it being just throwback timeline footages of what Monarch would then be to what it's known for today. So like seeing scenes like this really does excite me a lot, just to get a better understanding of the lore, if I may. The time that was spent here, hopefully we get to see a little bit more as we get a better explanation and understanding behind the people that do worship Titan X as well as the Scarabs. I absolutely love what they're doing right now. I've always liked the idea of, a group of villagers or natives worshiping a godlike creature such as those like, Titan X or dare I say Kong.
Yeah.
But hopefully we do get a little bit more into this. And yeah, I mean, at least for me so far, I am enjoying it a lot. It did get, serious towards the end of the episode with the villagers and stuff like that. So again, I just hope we get more out of this.
I don't know. Adrian.
Yeah, I have to agree with Jordan because we kind of got a teaser of how the people kind of worship Godzilla back in the day, back in the day in Godzilla King of the Monsters. So to kind of see this more like in not modern times, but more like in person, like, oh, okay, these people really do worship these titans and really care about their existence and protected them in every way they can. It's really exciting to actually be able to see this, to see this firsthand and not just hear the stories that we've seen from all the other movies prior to that. We're actually getting some backstory, some lore behind these monsters and the communities that kind of built around it, or the culture that's been built around these titans. It's really cool to see that outside of movies and more in depth.
I mean, you're not wrong, Adrian. That you bring up a good point. Is that with the Toho kaiju verse, franchise, what they've done, they've never gone into detail about where any of these kaiju come from. I mean, wouldn't you love to hear about where Anguirus comes from, or where Gorosaurus comes from, or something along that nature? Like, wouldn't that be just cool? Like some movies did focus on the kaiju about their backstory. King Caesar a little bit, Titanosaurus a little bit. We got the little glimpses. So, but I mean, wouldn't it be really cool to have more in-depth detail on some of those kaiju and where they came from and why they are the way they are, kind of thing? Like, I think that's one good thing that the MonsterVerse is really focusing on, is trying to build this lore, this backstory to all of these titans, and just give them more meaning than just like the kaiju or titan of the week kind of thing, where they are more than just a giant abomination that is wreaking havoc, and Godzilla or Kong or one of the good guys has to beat them to win the day, kind of thing. So I do dig that. So in this scene, kind of want to dig more into this. Did you guys feel like this scene was necessary to portray what they wanted to with Titan X, with the scarabs? Like, did this scene help more in the backstory, in the lore of the Titan or the scarabs? Or do you think that this was kind of a drawn out scene that wasn't really necessary, didn't really lead to anything? I'll start with you, Adrian.
I would say we haven't gotten the payoff just yet. I think they really are kind of building towards why exactly. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why exactly we're spending so much time on this island in this village. It has to tie into maybe even the defeat of Titan X, or wherever his or her weakness is going to be down the road. So I'm always a component where they do something. Everyone does something for a reason, and there's a reason why they're really going into this village and really explaining this. We just don't know, but we don't have the payoff yet. But we're gonna find out soon what the payoff is gonna be, because we're here. We're here for some reason. We just don't know what it is exactly yet. At least I haven't figured it out, in my humble opinion.
Okay, Jordan.
I will say this particular scene during their time in this specific island definitely threw me off. Just going based off of the fact that the villagers were more modernized, they were more, civil, as in compared to what we are normally used to seeing with people worshiping these giant beasts. They weren't
Mhm.
savages, they weren't wearing, like claws or just that type of
Yeah.
look. But I will admit that seeing them have this specific rain dance type of vibe to try to kind of summon the scarabs or Titan X, and then having like what looks to be like a sacrifice, definitely was the cream of the crop. And this was something that I kind of felt like was necessary to kind of live off of that vibe of them really having that odd worship type of emotion towards Titan X or the scarabs. But this is what I wanted to see early on. And it paid off as the episode went on, and things started becoming a little bit more explanatory. So yeah, I did enjoy the scene a lot, and it was one that I feel
I
like was very much necessary, if anything.
Okay. I didn't mind the scene. I think I just wish they would have executed a little bit differently. Because I liked that, when they gave them the drinks, okay, immediately I was like, all right, we know it's spiked, we know that there's
Yeah.
something in there. And of course, it so happens that it was. Um, to me, based off of their reaction from the first episode to the second one, like you kind of touched on, Jordan, was kind of night and day. Like, they were very standoffish, very protective of their village, of their beliefs. But then in the second episode, they were very more lenient. They offered them time and attendance to this festival, and with nobody objecting to it. So it was a little weird that they didn't really mesh up, I think, well. But to go along with what I was saying about the drink, I wish they would have honestly done that, and then literally taken possibly Kiko and trying to make her the sacrifice, and have Shaw try and save her, instead of this big giant fish. Because I get the spiked wine slash hallucinogen that they basically got. They were hallucinating and stuff like that. Didn't make a whole lot of sense because it didn't go anywhere. It did, like, they spiked it almost for no reason. Maybe it was to kind of throw off their senses a little bit because they knew what was coming. But it didn't seem like it lasted very long in their bodies where it did throw them off, or they couldn't walk or they couldn't see. I just wish they would have maybe done that scene a little bit differently, maybe a little bit more risk in it, where Kiko was going to be sacrificed. Shaw had to save her, kind of thing, and then, go on from there. So it was a decent scene, would have made a little bit more sense if they went that route, but, what we got is what we got. And it also set up a scene that was very intense, I think, for our two main characters that we'll talk about later on, that kind of stems for other things that we could be seeing in the future. So, but yeah, moving on, we will talk about the next topic, and that is what I was kind of alluding to, is the romantic chemistry, friction, whatever you want to call, between Lee and Kiko is kind of growing. We saw a lot of that in season 1, where you just kind of knew that Shaw had feelings for Kiko. And it almost looked like Kiko kind of had the same thing, but didn't act on anything. And then, her being with Bill, obviously, that wasn't a thing because Bill and Lee are good friends and she's not going to do anything but there's always been that tension between the two, even from season 1, and nothing really happened. We did get one kiss in season 1 with the two on the dock, but after that, nothing. But there's always been that tension between the two. And now, even with season 2, in the first 2 episodes, you can see it rekindling or coming more apparent that there is more feelings, even when Kiko and Shaw were in the cave and she was describing her ex-husband and how he passed away, and all of these different things that she was talking about, he perceived them differently and thought he was talking about like her own feelings maybe towards him and stuff, and what he wanted her to say but really wasn't, and then it kind of bummed him out that it wasn't about him, or it wasn't about the topic that he wanted to talk about. So they keep building this up that I don't think we've seen in, honestly, the MonsterVerse or even the Godzilla verse as a whole. Honestly, I was kind of racking my brain around this particular question. And is the romantic storyline a welcome change, something that we haven't got a lot of in the Godzilla franchise? And should we do more of this in the Godzilla projects, honestly? Because if you think back, there's really no like apparent love interest, anything that builds and the backstory for characters that kind of draw each other into them. They allude to it many, many times in a lot of the films, like, okay, this one's flirting with this one. Okay, maybe there's, you're connecting the dots and you're like, okay, they want to be a thing, but they never actually go into detail. They never act on those feelings. This is completely different. I think this is something that is very new to the franchise. And honestly, I'm kind of on board with it. It gives another level of, what the character is going to do, their feelings, how they're going to react. All that kind of stuff stems from what they are feeling, honestly, for a particular person. So I'm actually here for it. And, it's kind of one of those things where you watch it week in, week out, and you're just hoping they get together and hoping they get together. And, if we get that payoff, you're like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. It happens in other TV shows, happens in anime, all this kind of stuff. It builds that tension between them, and then when they finally do a hug or a kiss or holding hands or whatever, it's fireworks and explosions and you're super happy and you're cheering. They kind of have me with that and how I feel with these two characters. And if they actually do get to be together or show that side of themselves with each other, will be a huge payoff. On the flip side, that could be a very devastating thing if something happens to one another. Is that if we do lose one of these main characters, what's it going to do to the other? So what do you guys think, on your opinions on this different kind of take or direction, or I guess an added kind of perspective or aspect to the MonsterVerse, honestly, that we really haven't been able to dive into? And is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Or what do you think? Jordan, I'll go with you first, man.
I will say it is a welcomed change. Looking at it from a audience perspective, it could bring in a newer audience to try to chime into, specifically Monarch Legacy of Monsters, for that love factor, because we all know there's people that are just suckers for love stories, and if they do this wonders with the shipping and all of that, then I could only imagine how many more people want to chime into wanting to watch Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and hopefully, spread out into watching, a few of the MonsterVerse or any other, Kaiju IP out there. But regarding Shaw and Kiko, I'm sorry, I am Team Bill Randa. So screw her. It's okay to freaking be all booed up with Lee, and screw Lee for even trying to even go that extra knot to try to, fulfill whatever fantasy he may have with Kiko. I'm sorry. I will say though, I'm pretty sure that now that they brought her into the current timeline, I cannot wait to see just how would she respond when finding out that Bill had died on Skull Island during the 70s. Because this is her still fresh out into the current age. She's been missing for God knows how long, for freaking many decades, and she has yet to know where Bill is. So that is something that I am intrigued to see how they'll try to explain that in the show. But yeah, screw both of them for putting my boy Bill in the back burner, not even having him think twice about what's going on. Absolutely not. Team Bill Randa.
All right, fair. Adrian.
So I have to completely agree with Jordan on every aspect, actually, because this is nice to see in the Godzilla property, because you can't really get it too much or authentically in movies. So the fact that they actually put it in this TV show, it's gonna bring, like Jordan said, it's gonna bring a lot of different eyes to it, and it's gonna make it even that more enjoyable, because we're gonna have that chemistry between those two. But on the flip side, this is screaming Dr. Serizawa situation all over again. Gojira. So uh, Lee needs to stop playing with Kamiko and tell her, like, hey, Billy's dead. Like he needs to go and pull that band-aid off and stop trying to, like, low key still get with her. Like, bruh, you're like, how much older are you now than her? Like 40, 50 years older than her? Like, leave that girl alone. Her husband is gone. Stop trying to slide in on that man's territory. Stop it. Don't be a hussy. Don't be a hussy. Because I really feel like Kamiko would be like that if she wouldn't be the way she is now if she knew that Billy was alive. The other good friends, but if we wouldn't be getting this love tension between those two. She knew what's really going on and what really happened to Billy. And if she does, then y'all know how I feel about a certain somebody in Gojira. And I'll have the same sentiments for her too. She doesn't get her life together.
All right. Few things here we gotta tackle here. Okay. Now, the first one is that she knows that Billy passed.
He did tell her?
When
Or someone told her?
when they went into Axis Mundi and they went to save her, and they were trying to find a way out, Shaw
Ooh,
told
right.
her what happened
You're
and
right. Okay.
how he passed away. Like, I don't think he told him, like, specifically how it happened, but he told her that he had passed and that he was no longer around.
Okay,
So
you're right.
she knows that he is gone. Okay. And she grieved because she was crying and stuff like that. And it was hard for her to, accept that kind of fate for him. Obviously, Jordan needs to go back and watch season 1 because he has forgotten this. But that is a thing. She already knows that he is gone. 2, yes, in the present time, all bets are off because Bill is gone and Lee's still around. And I mean, obviously, they've had this chemistry, this connection for a long, long time. I mean, literally, Lee went bent over backwards, have been searching for her for many, 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 many years, and until he was able to get her out of there, and actually never even believed that she was completely gone. That he literally always kept up hope that she was still alive. So that's kind of huge. I get it. Where the earlier time is a little sketchy. You know, he shouldn't be doing that because they are friends. That is a little sketchy. And yes, Adrian, you hit the nail on the head because I immediately thought of that. Where this is a literally Ogata, Sarazawa, and Himiko love triangle all over again.
Yep.
I don't know if that's meant to be or if people have connected the dots, but it's literally like that all over again. So very interesting to see and unravel that, honestly. So, but yeah, I mean, modern day, go for it, man. Like let the fireworks fly. Like
I can't justify her being a Jezebel for a guy who could practically be her freaking father.
and she was in Access Mundi for 57 years. So
That was almost right.
Wow.
But all right, but it sounds like you guys do and don't mind the love story esque of what's going on into the MonsterVerse, which is very different, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
So it is welcome for sure. All right, moving on. So there's been some weird things going on between these two, between Kate and Kiko. One incident for Kiko was when she was in the cave, and she kept saying, "Do you feel that? Do you feel that?" Now, Shaw took it completely different, where he was on another, cloud, but she could feel some kind of vibration, some kind of something going on. And then all of a sudden, then like tremor started. Then he was like, "Oh yeah, I do feel that." Flip side with Kate, she was standing in water after the boat left with Shaw, trying to take Titan X away from the boat and everything. She felt something, and she's like, "You guys don't feel it or hear that?" And nobody was like, "Yeah, I do." No one said anything. They're like, "No, we don't hear or feel anything." Kind of weird. So my question is, do you guys think there's more of a meaning to Kiko and Kate feeling those vibrations or hearing those sounds? Is there some kind of connection between them and Titan X? Or to me personally, because what we learned from the last show, actually, Joe confirmed it with us, is that Titan X is a female. Okay. And I guess that's what they're going with officially. But is this more of a female like feeling where only females can feel it? And that's why Kate and Kiko have felt it? Or is there like a deeper meaning, deeper connection possibly between these characters and the Titan? Maybe we're getting a Gamera 3 vibe where we have, Iris, and Gamera taking like almost like hosts, or I don't even know what you would call them, honestly. Just those human counterparts to help them
The
gain
sacrificial
power,
lamb.
or or whatever, whatever the conduits, if you will, for these particular characters. So yeah, I'm interested to know what you guys think. Adrian, why don't you go first?
So I wouldn't necessarily go. I'm gonna go quite the Gamma 3 route, but I'll probably go a little bit closer to maybe the Mickey Sagusha route, where there may be some type of
Okay.
like why am I forgetting the word all of a sudden? Basically, something like maybe there's some, maybe they have that type of connection with Titan X, so they have those films with Titans all around. Which I mean, I'm trying to remember if Kate did say anything similar to that in season one. I don't remember. I need to go back and rewatch season one. But I mean, I think it'd be a case like that, more like maybe get those strange feelings, kind of like Nikki did with Godzilla. That maybe that type of connection is maybe what they'll film with Titan X. I think.
You talking about like telekinesis?
Yes, telekinesis. Thank you. I couldn't find that word. Yeah, telekinesis.
Okay. Okay. It's a possibility. Possibility. Jordan.
I don't know if you remember, Eric, when we did our reaction / deep dive to the trailer, I did mention that there could possibly be a linked connection between Kate and Titan X. So seeing a little bit of this more throughout the second episode, I wish Michelle was here. I was jumping up and down from my freaking couch because I'm like, I pointed it out. They heard me. They listened to me. But maybe it has something to do with maybe their vulnerability in life. Maybe because Kiko does have a soft heart for the Titans, and maybe Titan X is able to expose that by trying to have some type of linked connection towards her. And Kate, I mean, she's just an emotional wreck in general. So
yeah,
vulnerable as she is, maybe that's something that Titan X can explore and take advantage of. To do what, I do not know, but I am curious to see what can lead to these two characters having that link connection with Titan X. I don't think it has anything to do with them being females because
okay.
I mean, if that would have been the case, why was it that Kate was the only one to be able to sense that vibration instead of just being her and May? May didn't even hear anything. May didn't even feel anything. So maybe it has something to do with them being vulnerable. Maybe because they're relatives, but that's another thing I'll throw out the way because of the son, the grandson.
Oh yeah,
he would approach it too.
Yeah. So I am curious to see what more we'll be able to get out of this as the season goes on.
Okay, interesting. Right on. All right, moving on. So sticking with our human characters, because obviously Monarch Legacy of Monsters is heavily focused on the human characters or the human aspect of this, which is great as long as the storytelling is good. People are going to stay fixed and tuned in to watch this. And there is a lot going on with a lot of these characters. There's individual stories that they're starting to break up and branch away from, where they're doing their own things or having their own problems or going through their own things. And it's becoming very interesting. We're obviously very early into the season, so a lot can go different directions. But I want to know how we are feeling about the characters thus far in the season, and whose story are you more interested in? It could be Kate and her dad's relationship. That's very strained with what happened. She still hasn't accepted it or forgiven him. It could be Kiko and Shaw, their love kind of relationship and their feelings. It could be May and her sister with Apex and what's going on there, or Tim now being the head of Monarch. Well, not the head of Monarch, but like the one right now on the boat that is in charge of that group of people. He is the one that has to make the calls. So he's kind of going through some thoughts and difficult things in his head and kind of self-doubt, honestly. And even Shaw, is he ever going to believe in Monarch again? He's had these differences with Monarch for so long. They've literally kept him a prisoner for how many years because he thought differently and voiced differently of them. And so now he hates them for what they are and what they represent, even though that was, what he didn't want it to be. Is he going to change his feelings? And obviously him and Kiko. So I want to know personally what characters are really kind of pulling you in with what their story and where their stories are going. Jordan, I'll let you go first.
I mean, it's safe to say that Kurt Russell's character, Lee Shaw, he's the poster boy of this entire show. right?
Dude.
I mean, dude, just getting that notification that he was going to be part of the MonsterVerse, I'm like, oh my goodness. It's like a whole Bryan Cranston situation all over again, where we're getting these big name actors coming in to partake in our favorite IP. It's absolutely tremendous. But I will say now that we are starting to get a lot more of Hiroshi now, who is the son of Bill and Kiko, that
Yep.
I am all on board with what he may have to offer now that he will be a lot more present in season 2. So this is the character that I'm kind of leaning more so towards. And maybe
Interesting.
it also has something to do with me just watching Rental Family with oh my goodness. Who is the oh my god, we were just talking about him. The guy who's in The Mummy in George of the Jungle.
Brian Fraser.
Brandon Fraser.
Yes.
Brandon Fraser.
So ironically enough, Hiroshi and Kiko, they were in the movie as well.
Yes,
You
they
know what
were.
else
Yes, they
you know
were.
who else
Yeah.
is in the movie? Yuki from Godzilla versus Space Godzilla.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
So seeing them, I was just like, oh, they're all from Godzilla. But Hiroshi is definitely the character that I am leaning a little bit more so towards. I do have high expectations for him.
Well, also too, even he was like at that moment when I can't remember his son's name. Whatever his name is on here. He was like, "Oh, well, we saved your uncle Lee." And he's like, "Oh, he hasn't been my uncle in many years, and stuff like that." Well, is that dynamic ever going to come back, or are they going to fight a little bit more because he's an adult now, and Lee's been kind of messing things up for Monarch. So yeah, that's another thing to keep an eye on. But Adrian, what is your story or your character that you're focused on the most?
well, honestly, from season one, Keiko was always my favorite character out of everybody, actually. And I'm really curious to see how she's gonna adapt and adjust to being in the present now with everybody and what her dynamic is gonna be of moving forward with this group of crazy characters that we have. And then I'm really envious to see how she's gonna do with her son being grown up now. That was a huge culture shock for her for obvious reasons. And is her son upset with her, or is it gonna be any of that tension or back and forth due to the fact that he was gone from her son for so long with no fault of her own, but
Yeah.
again, her son's a grown man now. How exactly is that gonna how exactly is that gonna affect their dynamic now that she's back? And what's her relationship going to be like with everybody, and how quickly will she be able to adjust to being in the pretty much in the future 57 years later for her? What's her adjustment going to be, and what's she going to do next? Is she going to stay with Monarch, or is she going to kind of see things more towards Lee's side? I don't know, but we're going to find out soon, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing that you brought her up because she's one of mine. I'll get to the other one, but yeah, like you've already seen it. Like you talked about the relationship with her son, when they were sitting there trying to figure out the drone and he starts biting his nails and she's immediately like, "Don't bite your nails." That
Yep.
motherly instinct took over and he was like, "Oh," it threw him off, and it's that kind of stuff. And then like him resting his head on hers, like hasn't been able to do that for how many years, like it's crazy, so that is a great kind of thing that she is going to build and kind of see how that grows. But yeah, absolutely, her getting used to everything, you saw it firsthand. The technology, she has no idea what any of this stuff is or what it does. The things that Shaw was talking about. Oh, they search your baggage at the airport. She's like, they search
Yeah.
your baggage. Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of things, like she is just not accustomed to because she literally just came out of Axis Mundi. Because you forget this season started right where season one picked off, and they literally just got her back in the very last episode, and it starts from there. So you're literally talking, what, a few days to a week time since she's come out of Axis Mundi. So,
Yeah,
I mean, she
definitely.
has
Honestly.
probably the most to kind of deal with because of everything with Bill passing away and her son's grown up and the times have changed and her relationship with Shaw and all this stuff. Like, I think she has the most going on, honestly. But she's like with Kurt Russell and his character with Lee Shaw. Those two are the strongest characters I think thus far in the show, and that's what really kind of runs the show. Are those two? So I'm glad that those two are the front runners for the show. But I do want to kind of pick Tim, honestly. And is he the one that's going to change Monarch and flip it around to what it was, to maybe something else, kind of like what we know of in the Monsterverse from what Serizawa brought it to be, where it's more research, where it's more trying to protect these titans instead of going after them and destroying them, or defense, as Tim called it. Is he the one that kind of kickstarts the whole transition for Monarch, changing its ways and becoming more of a study department than more of a military department, honestly? So I'm intrigued with that one as well. So, but yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. All right. So, talked a lot about the humans, and obviously, and rightfully so, but we have to talk about the Titans and these little scurrying things that keep making appearances. Obviously, in the first 2 episodes now, they've made their presence known, and they are the Scarabs. And what do you guys think, in your own opinions? Are these offsprings of Titan X? Are these drones of Titan X? Are they something else that I haven't thought of? What do you think the relationship with these scarabs, or what is their meaning to these little guys as a whole? Adrian, what do you think?
As far as the scales go, I'm kind of getting more of a Legion soldier vibe from them, honestly. Especially the way they're able to communicate with Titan X as well, and how they are drawn to. I'm sorry, to her. To her. Oh, apologies. How they're more drawn to her whenever she's coming, or they need her to come out. I think they're more soldiers than anything other than necessarily offspring. So I think they're going that route with the scales.
Okay, interesting. Jordan.
I did originally think that they were some type of offspring. Just looking at them from first glance, like there's a lot of body parts that do resemble a lot of Titan X. But then getting that closer in-depth look specifically around their face and especially like their mouth structure, I'm like, that does not scream Titan X at all. Um, when watching this episode, they did remind me a lot. I didn't even think of the Legion soldiers. I thought of Meganula from Rodan, or not even just that, but from Mega Gearus. So I don't know what there are. So I'm kind of upset because I do want to get a better understanding of what the Scarabs bring to Titan X and what they could possibly bring to this entire season. Since they are, showing that they're going to be a predominant factor in this season. So that's another thing that I cannot wait to deep dive a little bit more into towards the end of the series.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Or maybe, maybe they're not the offspring, maybe they're not the drones, maybe they're just part of an ecosystem that one relies on the other, where the
Okay.
scarabs rely on Titan X and Titan X relies on the scarabs, to survive, and maybe that's kind of some kind of thing. As you saw at the very end, Titan X changed her colors, and you could see that actually on the little scarabs where they changed the exact same way. Was that a form of control, or was it a form of communication? Maybe telling them what to do. Who knows? Maybe Titan X has the ability to take over sea life, and maybe just control them. Maybe they are just drones for her bidding. I don't know. Time will tell. We talked a little bit about it. I believe the first episode of the series. Trying to get a beat on what these scarabs maybe are. We got a little bit more into the story, but not enough to really explain anything. But it was very interesting to know that Titan X went out of her way to go save one of these things after it bellowed, and she literally changed course for it. And then that picture on the bottom where you saw it go in the water, and it literally, you could see a whole bunch of them attached to her outer body, which is very interesting. And then obviously towards the end, the climactic scene is where they're running towards her, and like I stated, they turn their little feelers, their little antennas red, just like what Titan X does. So it's very interesting. So obviously they're a very big main role into the story slash the relationship with Titan X. Otherwise, they wouldn't be showing all these guys with her, and even showing the cave paintings and the fossils that are in there, that obviously these come from in some way. So yeah, time will tell kind of what their importance is for these guys in the show. But I'm very curious. I love that they're drawing it out, that they're not just telling us exactly what it is. They're making us think. They're trying to make us theorize kind of what relationship they are with Titan X. So very good stuff. And lastly, but certainly not least, of course, like I said, the big climactic end, which was very beautiful in my opinion, was the Titan X revealed. Finally, we got to see a really nice reveal of her face and what she kind of looks overall for the most part. And like I said, she changed colors on her little feelers that matched the scarabs. What did you guys think of this scene? Was it, as grand as, I think it was? Was it a nice reveal? Do you like her design? What are your thoughts overall on Titan X? Because we obviously talked about her a little bit in the last episode, because we've gotten bits and pieces. They never really showed exactly what she looked like until now. So what are your thoughts overall, Jordan?
Kind of going back into when I reacted and deep dive into the trailer, I did also mention that just based off of the snippets of clips that we received in that trailer regarding Titan X, that this would have been my probably the most leaned on preferred Titan, original Titan at that we've seen so far in the Monsterverse on behalf of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish that this scene was like 20 seconds longer, because her debut, her official reveal, lived up to me being a huge fan of this overall Titan in general. There's a lot of resemblance to, classic Toho Kaiju, specifically referencing that of Biollante. She also reminds me a lot of Perfect Chaos, which if you guys are not familiar with Perfect Chaos, it's a character from the Sonic games. Type it in, you guys would see the resemblances in certain aspects. But yeah, she is Big Chungus. So I cannot wait to see what she can offer. I'm hoping that with the psychological aspects that we've seen her capable of doing with connecting with the scarabs and the human protagonists, I kind of want to see how she'd be able to capitalize on that through like a defense mechanism, or maybe even an attack regarding coming across Kong or Godzilla. That is another thing I'm still hoping to die to see. Maybe in the next episode, her coming across Godzilla. But even from her roars with the little Mothra chirps, I don't know if that was done intentionally to try to have some type of connection with Godzilla, to probably get him a little bit confused, thinking it's Mothra when it's not, to try to lure him, closer to her. But again, I'm all on board the Titan X train. She is going to be a beast based off of what we're looking at right now.
Absolutely. Adrian.
I honestly did really like the reveal. That reveal was shot beautifully. We got a wonderful shot of what Titan X looks like, and I'm honestly excited to see more of her and see exactly what she is, what type of abilities she has, if she has any abilities, honestly. but she definitely looks like she's gonna be a handful for Godzilla and or Kong. I mean, obviously, I guess if we're doing movie canon, she eventually gets defeated, but I mean, you got to see what she's gonna do moving forward, honestly, because she does seem like she's gonna be a problem. She's gonna be a problem because that she was a lot bigger than that ship that they were on. And even seeing the trailer, she's destroying naval ships. So I'm excited to see what she brings to the table.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and honestly, we don't know if she gets defeated because this. So what I've heard is that the series is not canon with the movies, so they are
Hmm.
completely different. So they don't follow the timelines or anything like that. So she might, at the end of the day, after this series, maybe she lives and she just goes away. Maybe she's not defeated or killed or whatever. Maybe she is just left alone and then she just goes off and just kind of lives her life, peacefully or whatever. We don't know yet, honestly, because they are separated. Um, so that's interesting. To know that. And honestly, you saying that she gets defeated, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, oh yeah, I guess maybe she maybe doesn't survive. But honestly, like I said, they said it's not canon, so I mean they're their own little things. So what it says in the movie doesn't apply to the series, and they kind of want to, I think, keep it that way. They want to keep them separate, which would be nice to do a crossover every now and again. But they should keep them separate just because the movies are their own thing and this is its own thing, and I think it's good the way it is, honestly. So but yeah, the whole reveal of Titan X was amazing. The landscape shot was awesome just to kind of see her size. But also, what's really cool is that the backdrop behind her is all dark clouds, but then in the corner, you see like that setting sun kind of piercing through the clouds. It's just a different shot that you just don't see. A different kind of weathered shot, kind of more dreary, more dark, but also have that hint of light that's there. I thought it was really cool. And it was interesting to see that, when Shaw actually kicked one of the scarabs, she reacted and she attacked them. So it's another like, okay, are these things connected somehow in some way? Can she feel what they feel? And, and vice versa kind of thing. So it is interesting. And honestly, does Lee and Kiko make it out of there? Like we don't even know. Like we saw her swipe through that house and then you don't see anything else again. Like how do they get out of that situation? Does Titan X leave because she thinks that they're dead? Or does she try and actually get them and they somehow escape? Who knows? Obviously episode 3 will let us know. But it was a great reveal and she looks amazing. She is probably the newest Titan or the Titan of the MonsterVerse that I'm most appealed to and I like the most, especially the design. It just seems more rugged, more kaiju esque. The other ones I think were very soft and very just didn't seem menacing in any way. She just seems ferocious, and I
Mhm.
just absolutely love it. So she's more raw, I guess. So I dig her. I dig her, and I'm glad to see the reveal, and cannot wait for her to interact with Kong and Godzilla. So it will be interesting for sure. But yeah, that's it for the questions for episode 2. Um, Before we get out of here, we talked about something in the first episode where we had these bold predictions, and somebody um, mainly me, had a bold prediction that I don't know if you guys knew, but I predict in this season sometime that May is going to be responsible for bringing Mecha Godzilla to life with her technological skills and her algorithm that she holds so close to the chest and doesn't want anybody to have. And a reason why her sister wants to recruit her to Apex is because she's a computer genius. And I think that that is a reason to and how Mechagodzilla comes to be, especially like his AI interface. So that was my bold prediction. But since you guys weren't on the first episode, do you guys have any bold predictions that you'd like to just throw out there that, from the first 2 episodes thus far, maybe there's something like, hey, like if they keep going this route, maybe we're going to get this payoff. Is there anything that you'd like to boldly predict that something's going to happen in this season that obviously hasn't happened yet, obviously, but maybe something that has the ability to happen, and just kind of just throwing it out there just to see if it does happen? Floor is yours. Anybody, if you got one, just throw it out there.
I got 2, I think.
Okay, all right, go for
Because
one.
I did hear what you said about Mega Godzilla, Eric. And it's interesting that you said that because I was actually thinking she's gonna want to perfect the Orca actually first.
Hmm.
I think she's gonna fully perfect that because I think they even kind of hinted at in the last episode too, where they're working on the technology, but I think she's gonna perfect that technology and actually make that operational for everybody to use.
Okay.
And my second prediction is, let's see, I had it and I freaking lost it. If it comes back, I'll let y'all know. I'll let y'all know if it
Okay.
comes back.
All right, Jordan.
Um, there is nothing that I can think of at the moment, but I would like to be the one to bring it up. Wouldn't your guys's predictions be condescending since this show does not connect to any of the movies?
True. True.
Which I personally think it's complete and utter BS that the show does not connect to the show.
Yeah.
Um, that the show does not connect to the movies. Sorry. Because it's like the overall premise of this whole entire show was to give Monarch its origin story as to how it ended up being what it is, or what the origin story of what Monarch is,
Mhm.
or what it was. So to make it something that does not connect to any of the movies is just like, to me, it's a missed opportunity because you can somehow fill in those gaps of unanswered questions that have never been talked about or even brought up in any of the movies. You could have thrown it all
Mhm.
in this show. I would like to add that the fact that they did mention Pulgasari, it leads me to speculate
Mhm.
it could be, safe to say that we'll get a cameo of pretty obscured kaiju in later
Hmm.
episodes.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
I mean, in this scenario case, since uh, Alex ended up telling me that there was rumors that it wasn't canon, which again, that's when I was just like
Yeah.
going back and forth with them. So it's safe to say that maybe because it is not canon, that they're just going to throw in every other reference to any other existing kaiju that we, as diehard Godzilla / kaiju fans, may be aware of. That will definitely spark interest to possibly even see in an episode or in a movie or in
Yeah.
just some type of official product. I think that would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
But that, I guess, that would be the only thing that I would think to happen in this new season. Other than that, there's really nothing else I could think of.
Okay. Well, keep that on the back burner, as maybe by the next episode, maybe you'll think of something. Yeah, obviously I heard the same thing just recently that it wasn't canon. I haven't seen anything officially been released from like Apple or Legendary. I don't know. Like I said, I've heard the rumors, but we'll see. But obviously I made that prediction last episode with before I even knew that they weren't canon with each other. So yeah, my prediction wouldn't make any sense if that is to come true. But obviously, it's weird that they're not canon because it's literally the same organization in both movies, but it's just different storylines and different characters just kind of doing their own thing. So I mean, why wouldn't they kind of cross over is beyond me. But
Mhm.
here, who knows? Who knows? The future could change. Maybe they're just throwing people off to make sure that people aren't trying to guess this stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But
and then that makes me think too, like they're contradicting it, because then why do we even have a young, handsome, good old happy fellow, Bill Randall, in this show, and he is part of the timeline in the movies.
True. Mm-hmm.
So, Team Bill Randall. At the end of the day, hashtag we're gonna make that trend. So we got to jump on that.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Like there is still connections that make it canon, because these people wouldn't be in it. So like I said, we don't know. It's just speculation right now, what we've heard, what we've been told. Nothing official as of yet. Maybe when we find that, we'll talk about it. But I'm gonna just kind of keep that as speculation for now until they completely like, hey, no, this is its own thing. But obviously wouldn't make any sense. Like Jordan just stated, they have a character from both already in it. So we'll see. But that's it for us and our episode 2 analysis deep dive. Thanks all for watching. We are the Monsters with Attitude. Go check out our social medias. We have a link tree. It's in our bios for all of our social media. So you could just go randomly into one of the socials and find our link tree, and you'll find all of our stuff. Be up to date on all things Kaiju related, Toku related, anime related, wrestling. We do all the nerd fandom stuff around here, and we do it first. So I love it. And so please go subscribe, go like the videos. We would love to add you to the community, and it would just be awesome to hear your thoughts on the episodes as well. As we drop these episodes, please leave comments in the comments section on what you guys think of the episode, what you liked, what you didn't like, maybe your own theories on what's going on. We would love to hear from them, and we can respond to them honestly. So but yeah, that is it from us. We are the Monsters with Attitude podcast. Go follow us on all of our social medias. And I am the Bearded Kaiju. That is the Realist Goji Fan. That is G Train 1090. And we have one phrase around here. It is one phrase, 3 words. Embrace the attitude.